And as you guys can see, we've actually brought the end ship from the end city to the overworld. Hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Echo. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Today in this Minecraft video, I'm going to be teaching you how to use the new and improved structure blocks for Minecraft Pocket Edition, the Bedrock version. So in the latest 1.13 beta, structure blocks have been improved. Not only do we have the export button, which has been in here for quite some time, we have the ability to save, load, copy, paste, and so much more. So structure blocks were only working for the Windows 10 version previously, and you had the ability to export them to Remix 3D. Some of you might remember it. If you don't, it looked exactly like this. You had the ability to kind of transform your builds to a website, and that was it. And that was 2 years ago in 2017, because you can see the date here that I uploaded it. It was the 31st of the 7th, 2017 when I uploaded this to Remix 3D. So for 2 years, structure blocks really haven't been useful in Minecraft. Again, if you don't know what this is, it's just the ability to kind of transform builds, save them. You can even check out some other people's builds as well, which to be honest with you, it is quite impressive, and it kind of reminds me of Minecraft Earth. This is Chipster. He built this, transformed it to Remix 3D, again in 2017. So in this beta, they're now working properly, and I just want to teach you how they work. So let's get into this. If you do learn something new, please be sure to hit that like button. So before we get into anything complex and start copying, pasting villages and bigger builds, let's start incredibly basic and just do it with a tree. Now the first thing you're going to need to do is, of course, give yourself a structure block. And to do this, it's /give @p, which is for @player. And then, of course, structure _ block. I'm doing this on Windows 10 because it's a lot easier for me to do this tutorial, but it will work the exact same on Android, Windows 10, and Xbox. And upon final release of 1.13, this will work the same way on iOS, Android, Windows 10, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. So once I've done that, we've got this thing. Now, maybe you're not going to be copying and pasting your builds. Maybe you just want to learn how a new block works in Minecraft. So for me in particular, I like to place mine in the ground. And the reason why is because you get a spacing of 2. Some people like to do it where they place it on 1. And then if you go in here, you've got like you're just covering 1 block. I just think it looks a lot better with 2 blocks. That's all down to a personal preference. So before we get into the copy and pasting and how things work, let's learn the basics about the structure block. So the structure block was, I think it was 1.9. It was introduced to Minecraft PC, and it just let people copy and paste builds. That's simply what it's used for. So this is going to be incredibly useful for map makers and definitely for the marketplace content. So previously, the only thing we had was the 3D export, which is basically what I showed you before, the Remix 3D. It really didn't have any benefit. Yeah, it was a cool feature, but that was it. As we know, we want to be able to use the structure blocks in Minecraft itself. So we're not going to be focusing on the 3D export. Again, I've showed that before. I've made previous videos on this before. We're focusing on the save and we're focusing on the load in today's video. So to start off with, we have the size, which of course is your X, Y, and Z coordinates. I recommend using your coordinates on top left. You've got the X, Y, and Z. X being the left, 201. Y being the middle, which goes up and down, 69 at the moment, and then of course the last one being your ZZ566. Always keep an eye on them. It's always good to remember them, especially if you're going to be messing around with this. So I want to simply copy and paste this tree over there. As a basic example, we're going to put this 1 block out. Now you can see the actual building of it itself, it's not right. Like if we were to copy and paste this, we're going to be missing half the tree. It's not going to be the top of the tree. It's literally going to be a couple of things. So we need to perfect this. Now the way to do this is, of course, trial and error. It is simply a trial and error. So at this moment, you can see like the X at the bottom here. You can see the Y is here. Again, showing you the different level of the coordinates. And then you've got the last one here, which goes across here. So always keep an eye on them. It really is that simple to focus on the colors. So we will change this from 5 to, let's say 10. Now I know 10 is going to be too big, because looking at that, that's too big. I don't want to copy that much because it's really not needed. So we'll try, let's say 8. So 8's a little bit smaller, and if I really wanted to, I could probably go by 7, which is going to be the exact one. But for me, I'm going to do it by one more, which is 8. Now, of course, the height difference makes a big difference as well, because right now we've kind of chopped half the tree in half. So I'm going to change this to, let's say, 15. I know it's going to be way over the top. You can see it's like way too much. So again, trial and error. We're going to do it to 10. Hopefully this can be better. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that, but for now, we're going to go with 9 because it's just by 1. The same with this one. We'll go by 12. It's going to be way too big. I think 6 or 7 should be okay with this one. Now, I'm kind of happy with that. I'm actually happy with that. For the sake of this, though, I'm going to extend this one by 1 more, just because I feel like that's just much better for me. Now, you have the ability to include entities or to have them off. So if we grab ourselves, because what we're going to do here, we'll grab ourselves a fence gate. I'll grab myself a fox, because they're pretty new in this version. And I'll grab myself a leash as well. We'll transfer a fox in this one. So we'll spawn, we'll come back. There you go. And I'm going to put this right here. And I'm going to put him on there. Hopefully he stays. Oh, he's going to sleep. There you go. Even better. The fox is sleeping. So if I tap on this, you can see that we have the fox right there. The fox is sleeping. Granted that the leash is kind of slightly broken. I've not done this with the leash before, so that's pretty new for me. Unlike Remix 3D, though, is you can't zoom in and out. It's basically turn it from left to right. Now, if I have the entities off, the leash goes, and so does the fox. You can remove your blocks if you really wanted to. I mean, I've not needed to if you wanted just the floating animals, which is basically what I showed you in the Remix 3D with the villagers and the fountain. I removed the majority of the blocks. And then you've got, like, redstone, save mode. By default, it's in memory. But again, it's up to you where you want to save it. And then you've got this one, show bounding, which I keep on because it's good to know the exact radius of what you are going to be copying and pasting. And it's really that simple. So at this moment, we're on the save mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to name this tree. That simple. When you're naming and like saving things, name them something simple. If it's a tree, name it tree. If it's a village, name it village. If it's a house, name it house 1 maybe because you've got multiple houses. Make sure it's something that you remember. Again, case sensitive does make a difference. So if I was to do it like this, it does make a difference. Keep it like this, and then I'm going to simply click save. And as you can see here, structure save, it says my structure tree. You don't have to type this. All you have to do is type out tree. So if we go to a brand new location, because I'm happy with that tree, it's a beautiful tree, is it not? You wanted to load this somewhere else, put this back in the floor, click load and type in tree. Now once you've done this, click load. And as you can see, we have just simply loaded in the exact same thing as we did over there. Down to the fox, down to the seeds, down to the tree, down to absolutely everything. It really is that simple to copy and paste. Now, the structure blocks have changed a lot since 2017 because the radius used to be just 38 by 38 by 38. So these would all just be 38 by 38 by 38. If I remember correctly, that was the size of it. It was never bigger. It was never smaller. Now, okay, 38 by 38 by 38 is pretty big, but some people want to like literally transfer a village or a big build. That has changed as well. Now, I'm not going to mess around with this too much, but we're going to keep this as 9 and 9 and 9. That was the sizes. So I believe by default, the Y is always set to -1. If I even put this over here, I believe it's also set to -1 as well. I think that's just so you grab at least 1 block underneath. But again, you can change that if you really wanted to. You could set this to 0. You can see here right there. Again, I like to have -2. You could set this as 1, I believe, as well. As you can see here, you're just going to be grabbing the tree and the items around it, not necessarily the blocks. So I think by default, it would be set to -1. You can change this. Now, the offset will change the offset. It will be offset compared to what you used to. So we change this by 2. You can see here, it's moved over very, very slightly. But these are also massively trial and error. This one as well, we could do the same. We could set this by 3. It's slightly off. It's going to chop off the tree. But this one, I like this one. So we'll set this to -5. You can see here, you can take everything from below as well. Now, if you're going to be doing this and taking blocks from underneath, of course, it's going to chop off the top as well, which means you are going to have to change this. So we're going to have to change this to like 15. So you can see here, we've still got from underneath and we've still got our tree as well. So you could change it even more. Maybe you want to transfer a dungeon or an underground build, but you didn't want to have to go underground to then get the structure itself. So you didn't want to have to take the structure down below. So that's the very, very basics. I recommend starting with the sizes first before you start messing around with the offset. So let's get into a little bit more detailed things and let's start literally copying, pasting a village. So this is a relatively decent sized village that we're going to be copy and pasting. Now you could probably do it from all different angles, that angle, that angle, that angle, but I'm going to be doing it from this angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this right here. Now what we're going to do is obviously extend the size of these. Previously the size of it was 38. Pretty sure it's been increased now. I'm not entirely sure what the biggest one you can go to. We type in 100. So 64 is the biggest now, but we're not even going to need 64. I think around about 50 for that one. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's quite big actually. I don't think we need that. Maybe 35. That's way too big. 35, maybe a little bit more. We'll do 40. I think that might be okay. We might need to make it a little bit smaller as time goes by. Now obviously this is your height being the Y, which is going up. So we're going to change this around about 15. We might need to change it a little bit bigger, but I'm kind of okay with that. And with this one, we're going to do 40 as well, which is the exact same as that one. And as you guys can see right now, this is the village that we're kind of going to be copying and pasting. Now, you can have include entities on or off. That's completely up to you. You can have remove blocks on or off, which is only going to keep the villages itself. So if you are then happy with this, which, to be honest, guys, I'm actually not happy with this. The reason why is because I want to make this go down a little bit more. And I'm going to make this go up by 16 because I don't want to cut the top of that house. Maybe 17? Yeah, I'm kind of happy with 17. Now, once you're happy with this, you're then going to go to save. I'm just going to type this as village, not tree this time. I'm going to simply save this. Structure has now saved. You are then going to be able to see the exact area that you're going to be copying and pasting. Now, it looks like at this moment that I'm going to be copying this off by half, which I don't want to do that. So we're going to have to extend this a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to look where it's kind of been cut off. It's kind of been cut off there. So this one might need to be 45. Yeah, we've now included that one. So we're going to resave this as the village. So let's move to a brand new location. The good thing about this seed is it's somewhat it's somewhat flat. So that's the good thing about this. Now if I place this down now, it's going to show you the location that it's going to do it in. So it should do it in that direction. It's not going to combine with that one. So we go in here, we type in village, and we type in load. And as you can see, it's simply loaded in the village exactly how we wanted to. It's even re-included this one because we resaved it. So you can resave. You can save on top of a save, in case you guys have a little bit of trouble there. For this one, I've raised it on purpose just to show you guys the increased levels that you can have. You can lower this down if you really wanted to. But for me, structure blocks have just been a massive trial and error. I'm not big on command blocks, and I'm certainly not big on structure blocks either, but it's really easy to learn them. Now, in some cases, by the way, I want to show you a little bit of a bug that I have noticed, and this is probably because it's beta. It's to do with loading. So the loading problems that I've noticed, if we go on this and I type in load and I type in village, you'll see here in some cases things are disappeared, but if I click in load, the village should be okay. It should still be the village itself. So you can see here the village is still copy and pasted. That's just a visual bug. Don't worry, your builds will be copied. Now if you really wanted to, you could bring some builds from the overworld into the nether, and some things from the nether into the overworld, and more importantly, you can bring things from the end into the overworld as well. So let's do it. So there's two possible ways that you can do this. One of them is the way I'm doing it, which is to just grab a couple of blocks, extend out, or you could kind of do it down below and do it this way, but you're going to have to change your settings quite a lot. So for example, we're going to have to increase this by, let's say, 50 for now. So if we take this all the way up, we're going to have to extend this by, let's say, 20. We're then going to have to extend this by 20 as well. You could do it that way, but it's also going to include everything from below. Like when I've been messing around with this, the easier way to do it is just extend a couple of blocks. So you are literally copying just the build itself. Now I put this slightly offset on purpose just to show you how to grab this and not just grab everything above it. So for the size of this one, we're going to change this to 12. We're going to change this one to 15. And we're going to change this one to 25. So that's not all of it. So we're going to have to change the size of this one more. So we're going to do 30. I'm still not happy with that. So we're going to change it to 35. I'm still not happy with this one. So we're going to change this to 20. We're nearly there. Let's say 25. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. But maybe one more by this one. We'll change this one to 17 2 more of them. And you can see it's cut off half the bottom one, which is where your whole offsets come into play. So we'll change this one by -5. Now you can see that's slightly, I'd say okay. Maybe this one needs to be changed to 26. Maybe 27. And as you guys can see, this is a lot easier to copy and paste rather than grabbing the one from below. Now I'm gonna save this as end space ship. That's all I'm gonna save it as. And then when I go back to the overworld, that is simply gonna be saved. I'm also gonna include the entities, because that way we now are gonna have the shulker boxes also in the overworld. So if you wanted to bring the end ship to the overworld, all you'd have to do is click load and click in end ship, tap off it, and then you click load. And as you guys can see, we've actually brought the end ship from the end city to the overworld. So I think it's really cool. Granted, we could change this a little bit more as well. So maybe I wanted to raise it because it's going to be ruining the floor. Oh, as one of those guys spawns. We're going to put this here, and we're going to do load end ship. And I'm going to change this to, let's say we change this to maybe 3. Let's see what happens if we change this to 3. Okay, so this one should be in the air. As you guys can see, this one's now in the air. It just looks a lot better rather than having that one there. I've also went ahead and grabbed one more thing. And the last thing I went ahead and grabbed was the end city itself. So I want to make sure I don't ruin too much here. This is where you get more into the bigger builds. So if we put this down here and I type in load and we do end city, I'm going to just do tap off and load. And as you guys can see, I've loaded in an end city as well. I just think it's a really cool addition. Man, I always have a lot of fun just messing around with these. So we copy and pasted trees. We then moved to a village. We then moved to the end ship. And we then eventually moved to the end city itself. So the blocks are now 64 by 64 by 64. I think it was 38 by 38 by 38. So more advanced, a lot better. It's taken 2 years. I hope you guys have learned something new. Apart from that, have a great day. Stay beautiful. Go copy and paste your builds. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.